Well, it looks like it's almost over. The long nightmare that has been America under the Roe v. Wade decision, it appears to be coming to a close. It's not over yet, although I think there's a lot of people who are celebrating, a lot of people who are imploding, who think this is the end of the world. It's far from that. It's far from the end of abortion in America. Honestly, we're not even to the point of the end of Roe v. Wade yet, because as we learned with Obamacare, Supreme Court decisions and the votes going either for or against the majority decision, or the votes deciding what the majority decision is, they can change right up until the last minute when the Supreme Court makes it official and they publish their decision. So just because this is supposedly, at this point, the majority decision written by Sam Alito, the ever so incisive Sam Alito, the guy who I would say at this point is probably, he's the third best. I would say Gorsuch and Thomas are both better from my perspective than Alito. But nevertheless, he pulls no punches. I listened to a bit of this decision being read live last night on Ricada's stream when this was breaking and came on like at midnight to read some of it with Kurt from Uncivil Law. And Alito was pretty darn clear. Roe was rooted in nothing. It was terrible law. It was just nonsensical. And I've known that for a long time. If you read any bit of the Roe decision, or even a summary of the Roe decision, it doesn't take a legal genius to pick it apart, because there is nothing about abortion in the Constitution. You can look all you want. It's a pretty short document. You're not going to find a right to abortion in the Constitution. But this has always been one of the sacred cows of American politics. There were never enough justices on the court who are willing to look and to say out loud that the emperor has no clothes. In fact, it's this old game that they've been playing ever since Roe v. Wade with justices, even the ones who clearly would overturn Roe v. Wade. Many of the same justices who are supposedly going to vote at some point this year to overturn Roe v. Wade and make it official. At the time of their confirmation, they essentially played this game where they beat around the bush and make it sound like, oh, well, I would never overturn Roe v. Wade because that's precedent, and the court has to respect precedent, which of course is nonsense. The courts reinterpret the law every time that they make a decision. That's their job. And judges have made plenty of decisions in the past. Nobody is calling for the Supreme Court to respect the precedent of Dred Scott. So it's this ridiculous game that we play so that both sides can continue to fearmonger over abortion and Roe v. Wade. It helps the Republicans because they can say, oh my gosh, look, these Democrats are doing everything they can to kill as many babies as fast as possible. And the Democrats can say, oh my gosh, the Republicans are going to take away your right to an abortion. And so neither side, well, I should say, this doesn't apply to the Democrats. The Republicans never really had an incentive to make this happen. But lo and behold, Trump was elected. He got to appoint quite a few justices to the Supreme Court, 3 in fact, 2 of which were pretty crappy, 1 of which is pretty great, Gorsuch. And so I think that, actually, definitely, if there's going to be anyone who flips between now and when this decision is published and puts Alito's opinion from being the majority to the minority and kills this, it will be either Kavanaugh or Barrett. Even though, ironically, both of them are supposedly Roman Catholics. But hey, I shouldn't trash them yet. As of now, again, not official yet, as of now, they are supporting the opinion of Sam Alito, along with, obviously, Thomas and Gorsuch. Those 3, Gorsuch, Thomas, Alito, everyone knows that they would get rid of abortion in a heartbeat. They would... perhaps that was a poor choice of words. It's a little morbid. that they would overturn Roe v. Wade in a heartbeat, which in and of itself does not change a whole hell of a lot. I think there are, depending on who you ask, anywhere between 13 and 26. I know that's a big range. States that have what are called, Roe v. Wade trigger laws, which state that, the second that Roe v. Wade is overturned by the Supreme Court, abortion is automatically illegal in this state. So anywhere between a quarter to one half of the country is going to outlaw abortion. But to the same extent, you're going to have the other half of the country say, you know what? We love abortion. It's so great. In fact, we're going to expand abortion. We're going to say abortion right up to when the contractions start, abortion after the contractions start, abortion after the baby is born, abortion after you cut the umbilical cord, abortion after you take the baby home for a month and decide, you know what, I don't think this parenting thing is for me. Abortion after your baby starts to grow up and their blue eyes turn brown and you say, oh, I wanted a blue-eyed baby. And for those of you saying, oh, that's ridiculous, this could never happen, nonsense. Infanticide has been practiced in cultures throughout human history. You've had child sacrifice in primitive cultures, and even cultures that we think of as rather advanced, like Japan, had the thinning of the rice shoots, as they called it. A very common Japanese societal practice of infanticide. And so it is perfectly reasonable to fear at this point that the reaction to the end of Roe v. Wade in the pro-abortion states of America will be severe and will potentially plunge those states into a state of darkness that perhaps people did not think was possible. But on the bright side, in those states in which majority opinion, in which people in power are of a right and just mind, the lives of infants from conception up through the first month of their life will be preserved, and they will be treated with the dignity that any other human being shall be treated. And perhaps this contrast, this clear division, like with the question of slavery, will draw a bright, bold line, and people will be able to see how truly evil the other side is. The Shout Your Abortion crowd just got 10 times louder. I'll never forget the first time when I was in college and I saw a girl with a Shout Your Abortion sticker on her laptop. Now, I don't know if this is someone who even had had an abortion, or if, because a lot of women who haven't ever been pregnant and haven't ever had an abortion, they have this desire, they have this like bucket list wish to have had an abortion. They have abortion envy of women who have, because it is a point of pride. It's a ritual on the left that makes you more of a liberal woman. And I just can't help but look at people like that and think that we have such a sick society. This isn't a handful of people who just, have gone off the rails. This is a widespread sickness of the mind. And it's not healed easily. It won't be healed by the Supreme Court. It won't be healed by state legislatures. It's something that people will have to come to terms with on their own. But societal pressures are what will change that. These people, it's not natural to think that killing a baby, killing a child, let alone your own child, is okay, let alone virtuous, as these people believe. That's not something that naturally occurs to people. That's something that you learn. Just like when they say, hate is a learned behavior, or bigotry is a learned behavior. They show that poster of a bunch of babies of different ethnic backgrounds playing together in their diapers. The same principle applies here. And the only way to change that is for people to unlearn that behavior, for people to learn that that is wrong. And the only way they can learn that is through persuasion. It's through education, not forced re-education, not the kinds of things that they would do to us. Not putting people in gulags and, making them repeat, oh, how wonderful abortion is. No, what we'll teach them is seeing people with healthy families, people who love their children, people who value human life, people who are willing to care for children which are not even their own, just because the life of a human being and of an innocent child is so sacred. Because at the end of the day, you can't legislate the morality of your society. Not by a long shot. People have to already believe those things in their hearts. And the law is only there to catch, the occasional deviant, the occasional psychopath whose brain is broken and cannot follow the rules of society. But if the society itself is broken and sick, the law won't change that. There is a death cult that is alive and well in America. And that death cult must be defeated before we can claim any real victory. This is a step in the right direction. This is a step towards enabling the defeat of that death cult. But it is far, far from a victory, from a final victory. It is a small victory. We've won a battle, but we're far from winning the war. So with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.